Focus, focus. All right, I am standing in front of the Jordan River. The Jordan River stretches from its southern origin at Utah Lake all the way up to its termination at the Great Salt Lake. The Jordan River is home to many species of birds, mammals, and fish, as well as a lot of different kinds of plants that are unique and specific to this area of Utah. But the main purpose of this video is to look at, identify, and discuss what we can do about invasive species along the Jordan River. An invasive species is a plant or an animal that has a negative ecological impact. What that means is it competes for food, resources, water, and space where naturally occurring species would normally exist. Plants like this one next to me, the Russian olive, or even this plant, the Dyer's woad, are really great examples of common plants that we see along the Jordan River corridor that were introduced by us, by people. All right, I'm standing between two trees, and they're trees that you'll see a lot along the Jordan River. One of them on this side you see everywhere. It's all over the place. It's called the Russian olive tree. And the name alone probably gives away that it's not from around here. It's an invasive species that was brought in as a decorative plant. It looks really neat. You place it in your landscaping, but what happens is a lot of times these plants spread on their own and they find habitat and take root, and they're really, really difficult to remove. On the other side is a really great example of a cottonwood tree. And cottonwood trees are also found along the rivers, up in the canyons, and that's a native species. But you notice as you're taking a walk that you see very few cotton trees, but you see a lot of these Russian olive trees. Now the differences are just competition. Olive trees reproduce very quickly, very easily. Cottonwood trees, they don't reproduce as effectively as these Russian olive trees do. All right, so the next invasive plant on the list is this one right here. And right now it doesn't look like much just because the flowers have dropped already. So in the springtime when it's blooming, you actually get really, really cool purple flowers and purple petals on here that look quite nice. Now it comes back to invasive species aren't bad because they're ugly or because they cause problems. Sometimes that's true, but invasive species are a problem because they spread and they outcompete native species for resources. So this is definitely one of those, and right now I can see that it has these little tiny seeds that are about to get blown away by the next gust of wind and then pop up other places. This is another plant that if you're on a walk and you're around the Jordan River, you are more than welcome to simply grab them by the roots and pull them out. And maybe the next time you take a trip, take a bag, chuck them in the bag and throw them away when you get back. All right, so this plant that's growing right here, just at the bottom of the frame, is called a puncture vine. It is one of the most annoying invasive species that we have in Utah. I can't even tell you how many times I've been riding my bike and this thing has caused me to get a flat tire. It's called the puncture vine, or goat heads, and the reason it gets that name is because of these little tiny seed pods that it produces. So these seed pods are hard and dried, and they have spikes on them that pop bicycle tires, that stick into your feet or the paws of your pets when you're taking them for walks. It's not so much about competing for resources at this point. It's mostly about they're just annoying, and we have to get rid of them. All right, so this right here is another invasive species to Utah, and it's found all over the place along the Jordan River. It's called Scotch Thistle, and it has sharp leaves, it has sharp stems. It's really one of those plants that's also just obnoxious and annoying that we want to get rid of. You'll know it's Scotch Thistle by the purple flowers that it has. And the reason why it spreads so easily, like right now you can see these little seed pods that are on the tops of these flowers just blowing away with the breeze. They land somewhere, it's really fertile soil around the river, and they just grow and flourish. And so this is another example of a very, very invasive, noxious weed. All right, so the last plant on our list is this one that you see behind me. One of the most common plants along the Jordan River corridor is Phragmites. It was brought in by people to decorate their gardens or golf courses or things like that because it looks really nice. These tufts are attractive, and in the fall they turn a beautiful gold color. The problem is that they spread rapidly. They use rhizomes underneath the ground to reproduce. And the downside ecologically, aside for competing for bulrush or cattails for space and water and sunlight, is that they don't provide anything for wildlife. Birds don't eat the seeds or the tufts at the top. Nothing uses it for shelter aside from feral cats, which is also another invasive species along the corridor. Phragmites is not easily removed. It's one of those big pains of the Jordan River corridor.
Now, as I was walking around, enjoying nature, putting this video together for us to have a virtual field trip, there was one more species that I saw traces of all over the place that is really invasive and a lot of times can be very disruptive to ecosystems, and it is us. There was so much garbage and trash and things just left behind, seemingly without a care, and some of it seemed like it was even on purpose. Now, I understand occasionally dropping a candy wrapper and not really understanding or realizing that it happened, but it's so important that we recognize that everything that we do as humans, whether that's as simple as dropping a wrapper or as purposeful as leaving garbage and junk behind, we have an impact on the environment. But there is a bright side to all of this, and that's us. We have so many opportunities to make a difference for the better. There are organizations like the Jordan River Commission and the Cottonwood Canyons Foundation that continually are looking for volunteers and workers to help improve, maintain, and rebuild our ecosystems.